Gibbo presents.
It's Gibbo, and right now I'm joined by the man responsible for the hit single Just Like Magic featuring Mavado and Jadakiss on the self-titled Musical Masquerade rhythm. It is Musical Masquerade. How you doing, sir?
Bless Giver, doing wonderful.
I have to start by asking the obvious. Why, when, and how did you come up with the mask and costume?
Well, it was actually a couple of years ago, just trying to be different in dancehall and reggae. The whole idea was realizing that in music, people pay so much attention to image, it happens to a fault. For example, if you look to hip hop and R&B, you know, whether it be Jennifer Hudson, who was big and had to lose weight, or Jordan Sparks, or, you know, the other girl who sang with R. Kelly, who was big and had to get slim. And then in the Jamaican and dancehall, it's about image as well, coloring your hair, tattooing, going to the extremes. What I decided to do is say, listen, it's not even about the tattoos and how tall, how short, how skinny, how fat, if you bleach or not bleach. You're not even going to know who it is. It's just all about the music. So I decided to go black and white, and everything else is just a color in between black and white. So you get what you get, which is the music.
Jadakiss and Mavado, both established names and respected artists within the hip-hop and dancehall spheres. But why in particular did you choose to feature these two artists on the same track?
Voices. You have two very distinct voices. There's no way you can mistake a Mavado voice, and no way you can mistake a Jadakiss voice. They are so distinct. It was just simply about finding voices that were distinct that could collaborate to get a certain effect. And that's why both those artists were chosen.
Did you know both or either of them prior to working on this track?
Well, usually how I work is I write the song and think of the song and produce the songs first. And then based on the songs, then I decide which artists would fit the songs. In this case, I did not know Mavado personally. We have been in passing, but I still, you know, knew someone on his team, and likewise with Kiss. So I had no need to pull the string yet until I had the right song.
The single is on the Musical Masquerade rhythm, which also features Erupt, Proper Fades, Pamputse, and Ranko. Did you always intend to voice other artists on the rhythm too, or did you initially set out to just make a single?
Well, what I intended to do was do a rhythm, but make sure every rhythm I put out has a hit single. What I realize is when it comes to dancehall and reggae, especially on an international market, not a lot of the times singles work unless you have major label backative behind you. So what happens when something like Click My Finger works, or Rum and Red Bull, or We Be Burning, or Gimme the Light, or Get Busy, you know, to name a few, there are way many more, but they're always from a rhythm. You will still have some singles that work, but usually it's rhythm based, usually. You know, unless that single is so big in the dance, like Broke It Down, then it might be able to go on its own. But usually rhythms work. So the intent was a rhythm, but to make sure there was a hit single on the rhythm.
In terms of the sound and the feel of the rhythm, would you class it more as a dancehall rhythm or a hip-hop instrumental?
I would definitely call it dancehall. You know, you'll feel a little bit of hip hop to it, but it's definitely dancehall. All I did was make a dancehall rhythm and make the tempo slow enough that people can understand the language and hear what he's saying, but it's straight dancehall. It's definitely not a hip-hop drum pattern, but there are elements there.
Would you ever consider releasing a rhythm which was, say, 50-50 dancehall and hip-hop artists, or even a dancehall rhythm which featured all hip-hop artists?
Definitely. Experimenting is always good. And I actually am thinking about playing with different collaborations with hip-hop and dancehall as we speak. I'm just not sure full yet because some of the songs aren't fully finished and I haven't heard the voices yet. Sometimes the voices come to you as soon as you finish the song or while you're making the song. Sometimes you have to think a little bit to figure out who does this rhythm work for, who does this song work for. I work different from dancehall acts in terms of they do a rhythm first and then just give the rhythm to all artists and see who voices. I don't work that way. I figure out what the rhythm calls for and then who to work with.
Is it hard to strike the right balance on a dancehall hip-hop fusion track so that it appeals equally to both audiences? Is there a secret formula?
Well, it's very difficult to strike that balance because if you look, a lot of dancehall songs are huge in the dance hall, but they don't pass Norman Manley Airport because they don't appeal to an audience outside of the core market. So it's hard to find that balance most of the time. But currently being based in the US, I have a feel of that market, but being born and raised in Kingston, Jamaica, Jamaica is in me, so it becomes a little bit easier to strike the balance, but at the same time, always being authentic. So that's what helps me.
As you just said, you were born in Jamaica, but you moved to the Bronx for college. Did you find the music that you listened to and your musical preferences changed when you made that move stateside?
No, actually it did not. Because growing up in Jamaica, we listened to everything. You can turn on Irie FM, you know, and sometimes you'll hear Kenny Rogers, Lou Rawls, you'll hear old country music, you'll hear doo-wop, you'll hear so many things. Growing up in Jamaica, it actually shaped me musically to appreciate so many different things that coming here, I was just able to appreciate anything.
Your forthcoming album, Elements of Reggae, includes appearances from Red Fox, Rayvon and Spice. Can you reveal any more of the artists who'll feature on the release, and what can we expect from it?
I actually really don't like to do that as far as revealing people, because at the end of the day, you know, sometimes things happen last minute, you know, so I will just leave that as a surprise, but just know everybody on the album will be somebody of basically great reputation, meaning somebody who's known, who's gone gold, platinum, diamond, around there. So that's what I can say and will say.
Do you have an approximate release date as of yet?
I'm thinking first quarter 2015. That's when it will be released.
December the 8th is the release date for the single Just Like Magic featuring Mavado and Jadakiss. Make sure you go out and support it, and if you can't wait until then, the video is up online now, over 100,000 views and counting. Musical Masquerade, thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you very much for your time, Gibbo. Much appreciated.
Gibbo.